Here in Idaho, the legislative session is getting into full swing with issues like education dominating the discussion. Our own Roland Mayer sat down with College of Idaho political scientist Jasper Licalzi for a look inside the State House.
The legislative season is underway and it's already extremely contentious. Add the words, teacher pay, just to name a couple. Our political expert, Jasper Licalzi, joins us to talk about all of this, and it's interesting already, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people think about the different issues, but to really understand the issues, you have to understand the process. And when you talk about teachers' pay, we saw Senator Jeff Sidaway come out, and a lot of people don't even know who he is. He's from eastern Idaho. Right. But he's the chair of the Senate Local Government and Taxation Committee. And basically what he said is, unless you increase teachers' pay and starting pay to $40,000, I'm not going to approve any of the tax cuts that you want. And you think, how can one guy just do that? Well, as the committee chair, he can take a bill and basically put it in the drawer, what they say. But that basically means that he can not schedule hearings or a vote. So basically, he can stop any of those tax cuts, tax relief, what others would call it. Though I don't really see him really doing this as a threat. This is more, I think, of
it's a card up his sleeve, right?
Yeah, it's the first, and this is the first thing he's played.
Right.
And
so what's the end game?
The end game is, I think what he's doing is going to just keep people's feet to the fire. So you want the tax cuts, is you're going to have to get this education funding, especially for teacher salary. And there tend to be two different groups.
Right.
So what he's doing is making sure, hey, we're going to make sure these two different groups who want two very different things, we're going to get them both together, and that's how you really create compromises and get things done.
That's politics
so
for
that's
you,
how
right?
he's getting things
well,
done.
let's talk about add the words then, because it's been a long time coming just to get a hearing.
Just to get a hearing, and everyone's like, hey, because everybody was doing this because there wasn't any hearings last year, but yay, we're done, right? No, well, that's just the very beginning, because just because you have a hearing there, that doesn't mean anything, because then it has to go from the committee. The committee has to vote to send it to the floor. Just because there's a hearing doesn't mean the committee sends it to the floor. That's why when you're looking at some of this, you have to look at the process too, and just going to the House floor.
Well, let me ask you about that. I mean,
still
though, the pressure is going to be kept on. There's no doubt about it, and a lot of this is still going to go on. So, how far do you think it could go?
Well, it could go to the whole floor, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just takes this one step, because that's what you see typically with this state legislature is the vast majority of bills don't get passed, especially when you throw out all the spending stuff. And the ones who do get passed tend to be one step each time. So any kind of legislation that you see kind of that does get passed, say, wow, that got passed. Well, yeah, it's been 3 or 4 years in the works. So those who are supporting it, you got your one step, maybe have an extra step here, but just don't think nothing gets done quickly in the Idaho State Legislature, and especially something that's going to be something that's controversial like this.
All right, well, it's going to be an interesting start. We're going to have you here as long as the legislature is in session every week to talk about what's going on and what's coming up. Jasper, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, and it might go on for quite a while this session.
Yeah, it might. Thank you very much, Jasper.
Sure.